Hi, I'm Mike. Our first real winter storm is on the way, and we're expecting temperatures down into the low teens over the next few days, and anywhere from a couple inches of snow to a foot. So really, we aren't quite ready for it, and today we're going to get to winterizing a few leftover things on the ranch and see how the weather guessers did on our Wyoming Life. This is the shop where a majority of winter work takes place on the ranch. Well, I hope it's where a majority of the work takes place, but in reality, most of it actually takes place right outside in the weather, the wind, or the snow. But for right now, we're inside where we can talk without a snowflake landing in your ear or the wind making it impossible to hear each other. Sometimes it can even be hard to breathe. But Mike, you say, it's only the beginning of October. It's not winter yet. The calendar says we still have 72 days until December 21st, the first day of winter. Well, oh, by the way, I learned this. The first day of winter, December 21st, the exact time is 9:20 p.m., if you care about that kind of thing. The first day of winter is actually based on the winter solstice, which is the day when the northern hemisphere is tilted the farthest away from the sun. And if you're watching in the southern hemisphere, well, then just flip this whole thing. Okay, follow my logic here. If December 21st is the day when the northern hemisphere is tilted the farthest away, well, then shouldn't that be the middle of winter, halfway through? Makes sense, because after December 21st, then we're tilting back towards the sun, even though it does seem to take quite a while. Or maybe rather than using the sun to base seasons and the position of the earth, maybe we just stick with that pesky little calendar and cut it into 3 months blocks. We call spring, March, April, and May. Summer can be June, July, and August, and fall gets August, September, and maybe part of October. Here on the ranch, I can count on winter running from mid-October until at least May. Of that, we'll be feeding cows from November to April, about 6 months of the year. So if you ask me about the seasons here, I would say we have winter from November until April. Nothing scientific about it, just my experience, which sometimes is all you have. The forecast right now is calling for temperatures down around 15 degrees for the next couple of nights. Our high temperatures are not expected to get above freezing or 32 degrees, and we have our first real snow on the way. Depending on where you are, we're looking at between 2 to 11 inches of snow. Now, I don't know about the snow, but the cold temperatures bring a couple of projects to mind that we need to get done before it hits, and they both have to do with water on the ranch. The ranch has 2 separate wells that feed water to the houses, the buildings, the stock tanks, all within about 10 acres that we call the main ranch. One well feeds water to stock tanks, chicken house, shop, and both our house and my mother-in-law's house. The other well is located on a hill up behind the corrals, and that's what we call the irrigation well. We use it to irrigate Erin's gardens, feed water for both house yards, stuff like that. As winter nears, we slow down watering to the yards to allow grass to prepare for winter. Eventually, we stop altogether, and we did that a couple weeks ago. As the weather cools, the grass goes dormant, and we don't want the grass to be shocked or killed off by the first hard freeze. The final thing we have to do before this hard freeze is to blow out some of our water lines that run above ground, and they've been in use over the last few days. Specifically, those that run to the high tunnels where Erin is growing and watering her gardens. She will continue to grow all winter long, and water is always a challenge. But for now, we want to make sure that we still have water lines when it comes time to water, and nothing breaks in the meantime. When we blow out water lines, we use a portable air compressor, one that's able to continually supply air at a pressure that's enough to get all or most of the moisture out of the lines. This DeWalt compressor has a max pressure of 245 psi, but more importantly, it can supply over 100 psi constantly. That's a good thing. Otherwise, you have to let your air compressor recharge, fill all the way back up between blasts, which adds a lot of time to the process. In the past, I have had to do that with a much smaller compressor, no fun at all, and it took all day.
Closer now, 'cause I don't wanna slow this down. My heart is screaming out.
The main water line runs from the well down the hill to the gardens, where it then comes into a manifold. This allows us to shut off water going in 4 different directions, and we do that sometimes to improve pressure, but it also can be useful if something breaks and you don't want to shut off the entire system. You can isolate the break and get it fixed without disrupting the entire flow. I also put an air fitting onto the manifold to make blowing it out a lot easier.
Promise that I will stand by you forever, and I won't waste it.
And we're ready to go, moving air through the pipes and out the other side, and moving any water with it. While that's doing its thing, we can head over to the chicken house, which runs off our other well. This water is brought into the chicken house through a heated hydrant and then piped into the building. If and when I ever rebuild the chicken house, I will build this thing on top of the hydrant to keep things warm. But for now, we need to do a little bit of winterizing. During the summer, the chickens are watered outside with dog waterers, but in the winter, we have to move the water inside. And our first step is to replace the heating element of the heated hydrant. This long rod actually runs into the hydrant and keeps the water from freezing. The old one will be tested to see if it still works. If it does, we'll keep it. But I know this new one works, and we can put it in place. So as the sun goes down, dips below the horizon, today is done. And all we can do is wait until tomorrow and see how bad this first taste of winter is. Well, the storm that was supposed to dump a few inches of snow kind of skipped over us a little bit, ended up landing on its feet in South Dakota. In areas over there, they have up to 6 inches, up to a foot actually. So the snow really doesn't bother me too much. In fact, I've learned that with the weather forecast, it's rarely ever correct when it comes to snow or any type of precipitation around here. We get warnings, I guess, for feet of snow and only get a few inches. Sometimes it's the other way around. The best we can do is try to be prepared for whatever Mother Nature really throws at us. While the snow accumulation is almost never correct in the forecast, I have figured out that the temperature aspect of it, well, they're pretty good at figuring that out. So if that needs my attention, that's what I need to do. Right now we're sitting at about 18 degrees out here, but it's gonna get a lot worse over this entire winter. We do have to deal with water and equipment and all that kind of stuff, but the main important thing here on the ranch is the animals. Cold temperatures and snow can be quite a shock to their system, especially the chickens. And the only way that any animal has out here to make heat is from digestion of food. They eat, that warms their bellies, and in turn warms their bodies, literally. So we make sure that all of them have what they need to get by the next few days. Because in true fashion, once we get through this spell, we're right back to temperatures back up into the 50s and 60s. And I guess maybe it's not winter after all. Maybe this is like a weird season in between winter or fall and winter, kind of a sneaky season. So we'll call it sneezy. I don't know. Sneezing. There we go. Maybe. We'll work on it. All right, I am suffering from snow blindness out here, so I am going to get out of here. I just want to say thank you for coming along with us today. Be sure to subscribe as you come along with us, explore the ranch life, escape the ordinary, and thanks for joining us in our Wyoming life.